Oh yeah, this is a video I wanted to watch with you, not the whole thing because it's long, but do you guys know Olly Richards? He makes language content. Yeah, that's a picture of Florence. Very well spotted, Lazy Shaky. I don't know if you guys know Olly Richard, but sometimes I react to his content, and he made this video, and it's called "Is Italian Hard to Learn?" And as an Italian, I kind of want to know. He's pretty good. Usually he's pretty good. So I haven't watched it. I saw it, I clicked it, I paused it, and I'm like, I'm going to watch it straight with the Lobo once and see what happens. You follow him? Yeah, he's good. Oh, the Hermit, you lived in Florence. Nice. I've been to Florence a couple of times, but never lived there. Well, let's see what he's going to say. Let's see what he's going to say. Let's go.
Italian has been the perfect language for scandalous tales of intrigue.
Io sono grande, tu sei piccolo. No, tu sei piccolo e me sei grande. No, te sei piccolo e me no, e me grande.
It's in Italian to get your point across, but is the Italian language hard to learn?
Right.
Let's find out.
Let's find out, number ones.
Il libro narra la storia di un nonno e dei suoi due nipotini che entrano nel magico mondo di Interland e vivono delle avventure digitali che ci aiutano a capire come comportarsi nel mondo del web.
They say that Italian vocabulary is among the richest on the planet, but
Really? I never heard of that.
why? Well, the Italian language was shaped by Tuscan poets who wanted
Right.
the language to sound more beautiful, and I think they got their way because Italian is surely meant to enchant you and lure you in. Don't you think? There is just one tiny
Not just Tuscan poets, though. Dante is, of course, from Tuscany, but he did borrow linguistically from the Sicilian school of poetry as well.
small little problema.
Considerate che ci mancano 50 giorni alla prova costume. Ovviamente toglici qualche evento, no? Il sabato con le amiche, la domenica con i parenti, qualche matrimonio, qualche battesimo, una cresima, giovedì dell'Erasmus.
She's, I think she's from Puglia. She's from the south, and she's speaking very fast, isn't she?
Venerdì danzante, qualche saga sparsa. Alla fine sai quando mi rimane?
Yep, grown-ups speak Italian really fast. Do you even have
Yeah.
a chance of following what's going on? Well, the first way in to Italian is simple.
Yeah, I did understand that, but then again, I think Italian is a lot easier. It's not easy, but I think it's a lot easier if you come from as an Anglophone. It's definitely going to be easier than tackling Mandarin or Japanese, 100%. But then again, speed. Not everyone speaks at that speed, by the way, in Italy. We do speak fast, but not everyone like that. That was like for comedic purpose. Sometimes some people do, but most of the times we don't.
Start with all the words that you already know. That's right, Italian and English have common words going all the way back.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Vulcano, lava, influenza, fiasco. Yeah, we say influenza, though. We don't say influenza, like in English. So if you want to say it the Italian way, it's influenza. And it's the way we say a flu, or it could mean influence in any other context. Opera, diva, ballerina, terracotta, duo, motto, extravaganza. Honestly, I've never said that in Italian in my whole life, so I don't know why that one is there. Paparazzo, yes. Paparazzo, paparazzi, dilemma. Laguna, a lagoon. Well, that's random, but he's correct. Yeah. Finale, yeah. Scenario, fiasco.
To the Romans, meaning that if you speak English, well, you already know a lot of Italian. It might sound fast when you hear it, but beneath the surface, you have a lot more of a head start than you might think. Just try reading some.
Let's have a look. So, airport, aeroporto, attention, attenzione, communication, comunicazione, importante, incredibile. Yeah, absolutely. Musica, politica, repubblica, matematica, la città. This one is a little difficult for my wife to say when she's learning Italian, because the words that have an accent at the end in Italian, like città, identità, società, we kind of say them fast, more than the rest. Like this, I would say matematica, but this is identità. We tend to speak them faster, and the stress is at the end. And like when my wife tries to do that sometimes she does it right, because she's good, she's really good. But sometimes she will say città. And that, from my perspective, as a stress at the beginning. It's città, città. Why do you put the article every time? Though you don't need to put it every time, but we do use the article more than you guys do. You guys meaning in English. I don't know why I say you guys. Yeah, I meant in English. You can say politica without la, but generally we do put the article. It kind of depends on the situation. Z in Italian is pronounced za. Not in all words, though. It depends on the word, and it varies region by region. So the real rule about it is that if the word comes from a Latin word, if the word that has a Z comes from a Latin word that had a D diphthong, D-I, then it's a Z sound. And if it comes from a Latin word that had a T-I diphthong, then it comes, or syllable, then it becomes a Ts. That's the rule. But then there are regions that don't care about it. So you'll hear a word like polizia, attenzione, but you also have words like pranzo, zona, so it depends on the word, zaino.
Something simple in Italian, and you will quickly see what I mean. Reading something simple like Volume 2 of my short stories for beginners with this gorgeous new cover, out now.
Hey, I appreciate that. It's a little plug, but it wasn't too pushy. Just said it very quickly. I appreciate that. Alphabet and pronunciation. Let's see what a Brit can tell us about Italian pronunciation. He might impress me. He's pretty good. Roberto Benigni. I'm going to skip it. I don't want to get it copy claimed.
Ancient poets that I mentioned wanted Italian to be the perfect balance between light and heavy sounds. That's why there are a lot of these.
Italian only has 7 phonetic vowels. A, E, I, O, U. That's it.
Bella lì, adoro, da urlo, ganzo, figo, e vai.
Almost all Italian words end in vowels, and this
Very, very true. Yeah, most Italian words, almost all Italian words end in a vowel. It's true.
creates a kind of audible magic, a smooth melodious sound with vowels kind of hanging and floating in the air. And here is some more music for your ears. The way Italian sounds and the way that you spell it, well, it matches up almost all of the time.
It's true, yeah. You only need to know a couple of things like GN, GL, and a few I's that are silent, like the I in adagio, or we don't say adagio, adagio, giorno. Yeah, there are a few I's that are silent. Not that many, though. And if you're an English speaker and you already know that you pronounce fruit, not fruit, or friend, not friend, it's the same concept, right? So it's like Giovanni, not Giovanni. That E is not pronounced. It's only there to influence the way the G is pronounced, because otherwise, without that, I would have to read it Giovanni, but it's not pronounced. So I like it so far.
La vita è bella. What you see here is what you get, which is a lot more than you can say for English. So Italian is not only very musical, but it's also very straightforward to pronounce.
It is.
And you do it all with only 21 letters. It's the same alphabet as English, but without J, K, W, X, and Y. They only use those letters in foreign and borrowed words.
He's absolutely correct.
You'll see accents on certain letters, yes, but these are great because what accents do is make clear the difference between similar words, or sometimes where the stress goes on a word.
Exactly, yeah. The problem with the stress is that we only indicate it when the stress goes at the end. When the stress if the stress goes maybe on a beginning vowel or maybe in the penultimate vowel, we don't indicate it because we know it mnemonically. With that being said, if you don't know, you should guess penultimate. You will be wrong sometimes, but a lot of the times that's where the stress naturally goes in Italian. Like in the word italiano, where the stress is in a, italiano, which is the penultimate.
Grazie. Grazie.
Grazie.
Grazie.
Grazie, with an air sound at the end. You have been warned. But hear how he pronounces every single letter. That's really important in Italian. And the fact is that makes it easy for you. Just say what you see. The only letter you don't pronounce in Italian is H.
Very true. The H is always, we call it la mutina, which means the little mute. That's how you teach it to children. And in Italian, the H is never pronounced. It just doesn't make any sound, which means that the Italian language, by and large, has no aspiration whatsoever. In fact, you know how in English, if I take a piece of paper, which I don't have here, no, I do, because I have this, which is I gotta show you what this is. If you know, you know, but I gotta show you what this is. Wait, there we go. So this is, by the way, what you use to play Another World on the Amiga to get the code of anti-piracy, whatever. So if you have this, and in English, you're pronouncing the word skill, the word skill, the K, is not aspirated. So you go skill. But the word K-I-L-L, the K is aspirated. And he moves this But this is a little heavy. The T as well in like Tom has a little gush of hair in English. T, k, p, like pit. In Italian, it does not exist, which is why when Italians speak English, they will say pit, de pit, de ticket instead of ticket, because we don't have the t with the T that follows an aspiration of a gush of hair. They don't exist in our language. The only exception is some varieties in Tuscany, where they do have the what we call la gorgia toscana, which is when some speakers will pronounce a C like a H sound. It's the only situation in which there is aspiration that I can think of. And we don't have the TH unless you're from Tuscany, because speakers in Tuscany sometimes will pronounce the T like an English th. So like instead of saying ho mangiato, some speakers will say ho mangiato, ho mangiato. They do that and they they make the G like a J. It's another typical aspect of some areas of Tuscany, including Florence. The J instead of a J. So they have it, but no one else does in Italy. Like I had to learn it from scratch, how to do the th and the, like think and mother, because we don't have those sounds. So it's fascinating, isn't it? 2 weeks is over 330 hours, and most people will have spent most of the daylight outside.
Burrata. Brr, brr, brr.
Oh, the one on the right is not Italian. It's not brata, it's burrata. As Olly was saying, you've got to pronounce and enunciate every letter. There is a U, so it's bu, burrata.
Now, Italians roll their R's.
Yep.
You knew that, but it is easier than the Spanish R. You see, the Italian rolled R is softer, and you do it all in front of your mouth right here. It's a nice,
In standard Italian is correct, but Sicilians, we tend to do it stronger.
soft rolled R.
He's doing fantastic, by the way. His rolled R sounds very natural, but I need to hear it within a word. Because sometimes foreign speakers, of course, someone who's foreigner can't roll their R, fine. But sometimes you have got foreigners who are capable, they are able of rolling their R, but they exaggerate it and they don't sound natural either. So it's like the pendulum swings all the way to the other side rather than maintaining a level of natural normality, if you will. Let's see how he does it.
Now, there are a few unfamiliar sounds to get used to in Italian. There is the ñ sound, like gnocchi. It looks like it's going to...
Gnocchi, exactly. Olly.
It gets me every time someone's like, I mean, it's fine, but like, I'm making gnocchi.
Yeah, gnocchi just means
Or
walnut.
like,
In Italian, yeah, gnocchi means walnut.
I
So
didn't know
it's
that.
yeah, so it's well now you do. You can remember that. If you say gnocchi, it's plural for walnut.
Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
Carl, do y'all share shampoo?
And then routines. No, not really. No, not really. No.
What was I saying?
Gno-
Or like
gnocchi.
gnocchi. Yeah, gnocchi.
I've always heard people mispronouncing it to gnocchi. Yeah, gnocchi.
Yeah.
Gnocchi, yeah. I hate it when people tell me gnocchi. I did not understand them the first time. Now, do you like gnocchi? Like gnocchi? Because in Italian, the word, if you say the word gnocchi, it means walnut. So not only you're mispronouncing this word, but I will misunderstand you. And I will think you're asking me if I like walnuts. Imagine that. And those are the hardest types of mistakes that you can make when you try to speak another language, because it's those mistakes that if you mispronounce, if you read this gnk, then I wouldn't understand you and I would tell you what, sorry, and then we can clarify. But if you read this gnocchi, I think you're saying gnocchi, which means walnuts, and I'll tell you, yeah, I like gnocchi. Yeah, I don't eat them very much, but very often, but I like them. And you're like, okay, thank you. We think we have communicated, we did not, because we go away thinking two completely different things. This is gnocchi. So the GN is like the N with a little wave on top in Spanish. Same sound. I do like mochi. Yep, I do.
It'd be hard and weird when you read it, but if you can say canyon or minion, well, you can say ñ. It's exactly like the Spanish
Minion.
ñ.
Yep.
Bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao.
You probably know this word. See the spelling though. It is spelled with a C, but pronounced with a CH. Ciao.
Yeah.
In Italian,
Yeah.
both C and G have different pronunciations depending on what letter comes after them.
Correct. Yep.
Another
Colore caro.
The sound combination that changes depending on what letter comes after it is the SC combination.
Scatola, scena.
But the hardest Italian sound to get your mouth around is probably the gli sound. Gli uomini means the men. So it's a common one that feels a little bit like a tongue twister.
This one varies depending on the region. In standard Italian, it sounds a bit like he did. So it's a l, and you have to kind of move your tongue up against the roof of your mouth, l, to create the sound, gli uomini. La famiglia. But in the south, this is simplified into a Y. So like in Sicily and in Naples, it will just become Y. And so famiglia, figlio, figlia. And in the north, there are some people sometimes that simplify it into an L. And they will say familia, filio, filia. Not everyone does it, but it does happen. So you have kind of three ways to pronounce it. Standard being the one he did, which is the hardest. I think if you struggle with this, you should do it the southern way. It's easier, just a Y.
You could just avoid talking about men. The difference between a single or double consonant can also be tricky. You have to pronounce these double letters with a stronger sound than the single ones, or people will think you're saying sometimes a completely different word. Italian has quite a lot of these. Really easy to say, but also...
I like that he said stronger because that's how we teach it in Italy. Sometimes, though, from a linguistic perspective, it's like there is a little pause, and I wonder if it would be considered a glottal stop. Probably not. But the idea is that this is copia, and this is coppia. Can you guys tell the difference? Cane, canne. Can you tell? You can, yeah? It's interesting that sometimes people hear this word, canne, which sounds very Italian, doesn't it? Particularly to someone who's used to those kind of sounds that we make. And then, because it makes it sound very Italian, I've heard foreigners mispronounce the one on the left and say, il canne, but that's not, no, this is canne. Canes. This is cane, cane, un cane. So it's, kind of want to keep it like that. In a sentence would be more difficult, I imagine. Yeah.
Sometimes a completely different word. Italian has quite a lot of these. Really easy to say, but also quite easy to forget which is which. So this is just really a memory question and getting used to which is which.
And context, of course, because, I don't think anyone is going to say... I'm just trying to think of an example, but, the context is king in language, even when it comes to situations of, it's called, can't remember the technical term, but you know how sometimes a word is exactly the same? Polysemy, it's polysemic, that's the word. Because in this case, at least they're pronounced differently. But there are situations in which words are absolutely identical. Say, for instance, the word spirito, which can mean a spirit in the sense of a ghost, a soul, or it can mean spirito in the sense of spirits, but even in English, if you think about it, so like alcohol, possibly up to, alcohol. But in that case, it's the context, right? Because if I tell you that house is full of spirits, I don't think you're thinking that I'm having problems with alcohol and, that I'm talking about 95% alcohol. I think you know that I'm talking about ghosts. And at the same time, if I'm telling you that I'm preserving my peaches in spirit, sotto spirito, that's how we say it, I'm sure you don't think that I put it in my soul. So it's one of those things, I guess. Yeah.
Which, and if you think that this video right here is worth remembering, maybe, then click these three buttons right here and YouTube will...
He does deserve a like, though. He's doing a fantastic job. Everything has a gender. We gotta watch this, and then I'll call it a night when it comes to this kind of reaction, but we gotta watch the gendered part.
Remember, next time I have a cool video to share.
Everything has a gender, yep.
Everything you can see, hear, touch, taste, or imagine, everything has a gender in Italian, meaning that it's either masculine or feminine. And you need to memorize these. There's no way around it. But there are rules of thumb to help you at the beginning. If the word ends in an A or an E, it's feminine. If it ends in an O or an I, then it is masculine.
E, if it's plural, though, because the word cane, which we just saw, ends with an E, but it's singular, and that makes it masculine. Man, Italian is confusing with those.
Again, most of the time. There are some exceptions, like the classic il problema, which looks like it should be feminine because it ends in an A, but it's actually masculine, and problema is a word that you use all the time. Again, just got to remember that. This rule does work 95% of the time, though.
Let me tell you one thing, because this is a theory of mine, and I haven't got anyone, I haven't seen a linguist doubling down on this, so this is just an opinion of mine, but as an Italian, if I see a word that ends with an A, begins with the article la, like la pizza, la pasta, it's feminine and it feels feminine. Like, to me, it gives me, like, if I had to say the word and imagine a color, I would probably think of a pink, because I'm a modern man, not because necessarily pink has always been associated with femininity, but it is in our day and age. So I would imagine something feminine. I would imagine, like, if it had a voice, I would give it a female voice. Like, it does influence. It's a grammatical thing, but it does influence the way we get a feel for it as natives. And similarly, if I see a word like il tavolo, it's masculine. If it was animated, it's a boy. But when this happens, il problema is masculine to me. It feels masculine, which is why it is my theory that gender in Italian, grammatically and philosophically, is actually dictated by the article. That's where it resides, not within the word and not at the end of the word, even though this is a good rule of thumb. Olly?
It gets me every time someone's like, I mean, it's fine, but like, I'm making noci.
Yeah, noci just means
Or
walnut.
like,
in Italian, yeah, noci means walnut.
I
So
didn't know
it's,
that.
yeah, so it's, well, now you do. You can remember that. If you say noci, it's plural for walnut.
Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
Carl, do y'all share shampoo?
And then routines. No, not really. No, not really. No.
What was I saying?
Gno-
Or like gnocchi.
gnocchi.
Yeah, gnocchi.
I've always heard people mispronounce it to noci. Yeah, noci.
Yeah.
Gnocchi, yeah.
Time, again, just got to remember that. This rule does work 95% of the time, though. The fact that every noun comes with a gender that you have to memorize, it tends to scare the bejesus out of people who are new to learning a language.
Yeah.
How am I ever going to remember all this stuff? What's really important to know about this, though, from a lot of experience, is that it does get a lot easier and even quite natural to remember the gender of nouns. At first, you will try to memorize the gender of each noun, and you'll drive yourself crazy doing it. But as soon as you start to spend real time with Italian through reading and listening to the language, what you'll find is that words just start to
Yeah, also because it's not that big of a deal.
real
Look,
time with Italian through reading and listening.
look at this. Cucina, feminine. Italiana, feminine. Grande can be annoying because it's an adjective, and with adjective, whatever. But in general, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. Sometimes it's annoying, but it's not too bad.
To the language, what you'll find is that words just start to sound right when they're masculine, or
Correct.
sound right when they're feminine. You don't need to be able to explain it, it will just be. So the best advice really is to
That is exactly, an Italian must have told him that, because that's exactly how we learn it. We don't like focus on it. It just becomes natural once you, I think if you reach even an intermediate, maybe upper intermediate. Bye, Joe. Good to have you here. I think it will start sounding right or wrong. Yeah.
be patient. Let these words, these genders take shape in your mind. The harder part is when you actually have to put those words into action.
That was fun. Okay, so I don't want to watch the whole thing, but we did give him a like, and as always, I'll put links in the description. I think I'm going to call it a night because it's 8:21, and tomorrow I have to wake up early. So I still have to go and have my pizza. I'm not sure if I can come back live tonight to play games. I'll see, but probably not, because I need to do some editing in preparation for tomorrow. We have a bit of a road trip. But thank you so much, Noble Ones, for joining the stream. Thank you for all the support. Let me just double check that I didn't forget to say thank you, supporting the truth. I did read that. I'm just checking. Thank you everyone for gifting the memberships and the super chats and the subscriptions over at Twitch. It's all very much we appreciate the generosity very much. Okay, so I will, let me just put myself full screen. I will see you tomorrow with 7 video uploads throughout all the channels, including the new Metatron's clips. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. I'll probably go live as well tomorrow night for some gaming. Take care. Thank you, Noble Ones. Buona serata. Ciao, ciao.